Elder Denise, and welcome everyone to the conversation. Thank you for joining for this courageous conversation, because oftentimes people don't like to talk about money, and it is a topic that is near and dear to the heart, because oftentimes there are some things that we can do to maximize the opportunities that we have. So we'll be talking about some smart money moves to maximize your opportunities. Just want to make sure that I share this quick disclaimer. This is for informational and educational purposes only. Make sure you do your due diligence and connect with those accountants, taxpayers, any legal advice in your area or in your state. With that being said, a question I want to pose to you first and foremost is, would you rather? And I want you to think about this long and hard. Would you rather have $1 million today, or have 1 penny doubled every day for 30 days? Just put your answer in the chat for me so I can see. Would you rather have $1 million today or a penny doubled every day for 30 days? Now, there's a reason that I am asking you this question. So I see your responses coming in. All right, so you guys are already hip to the game. You already know. Typically, the average person will say $1 million every day. So if that was you, I want you to think about compound interest, and we're going to talk about something called the rule of 72. So if you look at this quick scenario on 1 penny every day for 30 days. All right. So if we take that penny and we double it, if we start out this first week, it looks really dismal, right? 64 cents. But if we continue to double that penny every day, by day 25, we're at $167,000. But by day 28, you're already over 1 million, 1.3 million. By day 30, you're at $5.3 million. And the reason that I share this conversation is because we need to be thinking about the long term. It's not just about instant gratification. There are a lot of things in the community. There are a lot of things that are cultural to us as far as consumerism is concerned. But I want you to stretch with me this morning, right? And I know I hear some of you already saying, I know that. And it's not simply about what you know, but it's about what you do. What do you implement? What do you act on? So I challenge you today as we go through, because none so deaf as those that have ears and will not hear, and none so blind as those that have eyes and will not see. Will you be one today, right? That's willing to hear and that's willing to see where those challenges may be for you and your money. I'm Lynn Demmons. I host a podcast called Financial Confidence with WYTV7. So I definitely want you to also tune in for my podcast. But what we'll be talking about today is basically 3 levels. First, we're going to set the foundation, because we know without a foundation, a house won't stand, or a company won't stand. So we need a foundation. What do we need to do now? Where are we now? That's where we're going to start. Then we're going to scaffold, because from the foundation, you begin to build. So we're going to scaffold. So what are some of those things that we're going to do later? And then how are we going to sustain? That's through our implementation. These are the things, what's most important. The most important investment we're going to talk about is in yourself. So as we go through this agenda, I highly implore that you have your pen and your paper or your note-taking tool, whatever it is you choose, have that next to you, because these are going to be some things provided today that you can definitely implement and help you to move to your next. When you make your money, keep your money, and grow your money. So as shared in the beginning, I am Lynn Demmons. That's me. That's my little mini me right there, Mr. Malachi. That's my why. My husband and I, we have basically just joined hands and said, you know what? It is up to us to build generational wealth, because that's what we're called to do. Build generational wealth for our children's children. So not just for our little Malachi, but for Malachi's little Malachi's, right? And so on and so forth, and also expanding out in the community. So that is an important thing to know. Everyone needs to have a why. As you continue to move forward, as you continue to learn. So the foundation of finances that I want to leave with you as we get ready, as we start in this session today is wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. Oftentimes, a lot of people miss the mark. And we think that things are truly what are going to define the wealth that we have in our lives. But when you have few wants and you can truly focus on what those things are, then it completely changes the game for you. So I want you to think about that from the perspective of your mindset. What are those things? Because I'll just share a personal story. I was one of those people, you know, when you get a raise, what do? You want the next best thing. You want the next best car. You want the next best house. You want the next best watch or phone or whatever, right? And it's never enough. You're always chasing after things. And it wasn't until I changed my mindset around the fact that those things at the end of the day don't mean anything to me. And it helped me to see that now my wealth is not in the possessions, but in having few wants and being grateful and being satisfied. So I just want to make sure that that is 100% clear. And as far as the guiding principle for all of this is Matthew 6:33, seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So I'll be remiss if I did not add that in as we go through and share in this conversation. So we talked about the fact that this is sharing information, sharing money details from the perspective of how do we move forward after the holidays, right? So one of the things that I wanted to focus on oftentimes is budgeting when you have more month than you have money, because that may be the reality for some people, and you may not know where to start. The thing that I want to put on the table is more than 65% of people do not budget. Hear that. More than 65% of people do not budget. It's not that they don't know how to budget. It's not that they don't know that they need a budget. It's just they simply do not do that. They do not write it down. They do not make it plain. They do not follow the dollars. So what I would suggest, if you are in this situation, you need to step back and say, where am I now, right? You need to figure out your why. Why is this important to you? Is it your children? Is it you want to prepare for college? Is it you want to buy your first home? There are so many different opportunities, so many different reasons, and that varies from person to person. So you got to look to the inside to determine, right, what are those things that you can put into place that are going to allow you to be able to move to that next level. In addition to that, once you identify your why, it's very important to go ahead, list out your income. What's your income you have for this month and for next month? Do you have a full-time job? Maybe you have part-time work that you're also completing, or maybe there's a bonus that may be coming in, right? So look at all those different parameters of your finances and actually list them out in from that perspective. So that's going to give you a picture of where you are now if you've been running into this this cycle of having more months than you have money. So what is the next step? Then you need to identify what are your expenses, right? Some of our expenses are fixed. These are things that are going to happen month in and month out, or week in and week out. But then there are also those variable expenses. So list out those bills, and when do you pay those bills? Do you now have a weekly payment that you have to make because you are past due on your light bill, and they have given this opportunity to you, right, to now catch up, but you got to pay the extra $86 a week just to try to catch up and still continue to pay your monthly bills. So list out all of those bills, your housing, your cable. Do you have Hulu, Netflix, and Amazon, right? Your cell phones, your utilities, all of these things, you need to go ahead and list those out. And then don't forget those other expenses we love, right? Ladies, we love to get our hair done, our nails done. You know, guys, you have your expenses as well. So thinking about what are those other expenses? They may not be monthly expenses, but those are our like to-do expenses. And of course, looking at your debt. What is the debt that you continue to carry? Is that a car loan? Is that multiple car loans? And do you have a car loan with a very high interest rate? Okay. Those credit cards that you may have, any personal loans, maybe you had a car repair loan. All of the things that have come into play are also very key in identifying where this is happening. How is this really a result of me having more month than money, or is it a result of me being a strategic consumer that's going to allow me to now come out of this? So identify those fixed and variable expenses to help you to move to that next level. All right. Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Elder White. Elder White also added that you can also create a simple form to track your expenses. Absolutely. It doesn't have to be complex. And chances are, the more complicated it is, the less likely it is that you will do it. So make it simple. Make it something that you like to do. Most people like to write it down by hand. That's okay. Some of us like spreadsheets. I keep mine in spreadsheets. Some people like to use an app. There are so many different things that you can do to actually track the things as simple as a budget, so you can make sure that you are on the right track as you move forward. Also, finally, what you need to do, if you find out I have more month than I have money, get back to the basics. What's the basic budget? What are those unnecessary expenditures that you can now cut out? If you're able to do that, and you can see your expenses laid out, your basics, everything you have to have. You know, we all have to have food, shelter, right? You have to have a way to get back and forth to work. One car, yes, but you don't have to have three. So go through there and actually analyze, right? What are some of those unnecessary spending things that I now have in place that I may be able to cut? If you cut out, and when you cut out those unnecessary spending, and you see that you're no longer in the red, that means you don't have more month than you have money, then it's just a budgeting problem, right? Go ahead and get rid of those expenses. But if you cut out the unnecessary spending and you find that you're still in the red, you still have more month than you have money, then you have an income problem. And that means there's one or two things you have to do. You either have to reduce your living expenditures altogether, or you need to increase your income. And most people don't like to reduce, right, the way that they live. We always want to improve. We always want to get better, but sometimes you got to go down to go up. So you think through all of those different perspectives and figure out exactly what it is. If you're budgeting and you have more month than you have money, take a long, hard look and determine, is it just some unnecessary spending that you can cut out and everything's good? Or if you cannot meet your minimum, then there's an income problem. So looking at it from that perspective, then you would have to start being strategic. Do I need to get another job? Do I need to figure some other things out? Is my spouse and I, are we on the same page financially? So the whole goal, guys, with financial confidence with this is for us to introduce you to ideas, to inform you if you understand those ideas, and to illustrate, to give you some examples as we move through. So if once you've identified that, the number one thing that I would share here is the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. The best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. And what I mean by that, and Miss Sandy is going to talk about it later, definitely your health, but investing in yourself, in your mind, in your mindset, in the way that you think about things. And yes, there's tons of information out there that, and they used to share this quote all the time in my circle: if you want to hide something from Black people, put it in a book. Why did they say that? Because we wouldn't read. Well, I wouldn't say we wouldn't read. I'd love to read. However, as a group, it is a basic concept that, hey, we don't like to read. However, today, that's no longer an excuse. We have the information superhighway at our fingertips. You got Uncle Google on every cell phone, on every internet, iPad, whatever it is that you have access to, where you're now able to get that information, consume the information, learn from some trusted, reputable advisors and experts in the arena, and make the necessary steps to actually be able to do what you're called to do. And that's to build generational wealth and leave an inheritance for your children's children. So as we continue to move forward and we see these different things progressing, there's one other thought that I want to leave with you. And that's contrary to popular belief. Being poor and being broke don't mean the same thing. Being poor and being broke don't mean the same thing. Yes, both of them is a lack of money, right? You don't have the money, but being poor is a mindset. And as we just shared, if you make that investment in yourself, if you take the time to study, to learn those things that you don't know, then you can now change the future for you and your family, generations to come. Dare I say, not just stopping with your family, taking that out into your community and moving and sharing in other circles as well. So being poor is a mindset, but being broke, y'all, is a temporary condition. And until we understand that it's temporary, we hear the song all the time in my church. I remember growing up, trouble don't last always. That's the way I see broke. Broke is a temporary condition. You got to look at it not as a problem, but the opportunity now for me to help make my money, grow my money, and do those things that we are called to do. Yes, it is a mindset, and your mindset truly matters as we move forward and we continue to grow financially lit individuals. Starting this conversation with our children, but first of all, starting it with yourself. What's your situation? And the reason that I say that, how do we change the mindset? What we have to understand is a lot of things that we learned in our communities about money, we saw modeled in our family. Whether we think about it consciously or unconsciously, there are some things that we saw. We saw either mom was a spender and dad was a saver, or vice versa. Or we saw the way that they reacted when it was time for the bills. Were they stressed or were they okay? And we internalize those things. But what we have to learn and realize, first of all, is dig deep and find out what our money story is. What is it that we've been taught about money that we can now get rid of because it's no longer serving us? As Elder Denise said earlier, she said in 22, it's a new you. So I need you to write down those 22 things that are no longer serving you and get rid of them, and identify what are those 22 things that you need to know, like, learn, and love, so that you can now change the mindset and change the financial position, the financial projection or the picture for you and your family, so that you guys can continue to move. So self-awareness is the best medicine that you can take today. Being aware for yourself, being aware of your what it is that you do, because ultimately at the end of the day, when you get to your finances, it is about you. It's all about you. And what I pulled here is from the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics. This was released in 2019. Basically, what they're saying here in this economic release, the average American, it was two-income family, their average income is $6,131. Their expenses were $5,000. So the number one thing, as you begin to go through this, take a look at what your financial picture looks like for your household. Also identifying what are your assets and your liabilities. Oftentimes in the community, we don't focus on our net worth. That's a number that's foreign to us. We don't focus on the fact that I am negative whatever dollars, that's my net worth, because I owe on everything. I owe in every situation that I'm in or that I'm involved in. When I understand what my net worth is, then the picture changes. So that's one of the things that I want to highly recommend that you do. Sit down in your families, identify what that is. What are your assets? What are your liabilities? What does your income and your expenses look like holistically? Once you have that, then as you're getting started, what do you need to do? Once you identify your net worth, let's say it is positive. Where do you want to be in 1 year? Where do you want to be in 5 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years? And the reason I ask those questions, guys, in the business world, I worked in corporate America for many years. And in corporate America, every year we would revisit, okay, those yearly goals. The leadership of the company set those 5-year and the 10-year plans for the organization. And that's very important, especially if those companies are involved in the stock market. Dare I say, guys, we should be focusing on our money in the exact same way that companies and organizations focus on their money. You better believe that they're following every penny that goes in and out of those doors. And as an individual, as a family, as a church, you should be doing the same things, right? So where do you want to be? 1 year, 5 years, 10 years down the road? Sit down, take some time to actually think about that. And all of this, as you're getting started, should connect back to your why. Why is it that you're doing this? Why is it important for you, for your family, for your children, for your children's children, if your goal is building generational wealth? So examine what that is for you. I wanted to share some important stats as well. Did you know that during the pandemic, they have shared in the research that this was the first time that the financial picture for families improved during the pandemic? People saved more, people identified, oh, now this is holistically, not everybody had the same situation. But what they realized is that people were cutting back on discretionary spending because of everything we saw in the media, right? We saw the shortages. We saw that there was no food when we went to the shelves in the grocery stores, or the lack thereof. We saw all of these different things around us. So people started pulling back. People started doing the things that they needed to do. And credit scores went up during the pandemic. Right? So contrary to popular belief, things did change. But dare I say, what do we do with that now? We started making some changes, but how do we now move forward? Continue boosting those emergency funds, continue investing in the stocks and in real estate, or whatever it is that you want to invest in, and identify what those things are. Because we did see 44% boosting their emergency funds and 15% investing in the stock market or other investment vehicles, whether it was short-term, intermediate, or long-term. And dare I say, as we move forward and we are thinking about these things, we want to know, where do I go from here? So the first thing, the number one thing, if you don't hear anything else, you must put a plan in place for your money. Just like you put a plan in place for your health. I plan to get up at 6:30 a.m. and run a mile every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday morning. Okay? I set my timer and I do that. The same thing you do for your money. You put that plan in place. I am going to check on my finances every week on Friday at 6 p.m. sitting at the kitchen table. Identify what it is that you need to do so that you can develop those habits. I'll sit down monthly with my husband so we can go over these expenses, so we can talk about our estate planning, so we can do all the things that are going to help us to build the best current financial situation for us moving forward. Because at the end of the day, guys, and oftentimes we know this, we all have been either in or we know someone who is now retired and they're living on Social Security and things are not working out as they had hoped, right? So we have to figure out, how do we now improve while we have the opportunity to put those habits into play for our current financial situation. So I do have a couple of resources that I wanted to share. First one being, what are some reasons that we don't save, right? Whether that's saving for short term, something simple like you want to go on vacation, or saving for long term, things like retirement or college or whatever the case may be. The reason that we don't do that, this is the don't save checklist over here to the right, because you don't have savings goals. Now, simply having goals doesn't mean you're going to achieve your dreams, right? Because we can write something down, but if you don't act on it, if you don't implement it, if you don't start taking those steps, then you won't get it done. So you don't have goals that you can now work towards. That's one of the reasons that you don't save. Another reason you don't save is you don't believe it will happen. You don't think that this is something that's going to work for you. You don't think this is something that you can do because you've seen mom and them, right, and whomever else go through the same situation. They've been on the struggle bus for years, and you feel that you're going to continue on the struggle bus as well. Another reason that you don't save is that you don't have clear expectations. You don't expect anything better in your life. If you don't expect better, you won't do better. And in order to get to that point, we have to understand and expect. See, guys, we serve a God who is all knowing, who is all powerful, who owns all and everything. And if we align with his will, all we have to do is ask and move forward. He's given us the ability to do all that we can, even more than we could ever think of. We just have to have clear expectations and alignment with what it is that he wants us to do. We haven't witnessed good money behavior. That's another one, y'all. We haven't seen it in practice. So you be the first. Just because you haven't seen it, it hasn't been a thing in your family, or that hasn't been the norm in your circle, you be the first, and then get you a different circle. Find you different friends who are now going to help you to move to that next level. Because at the end of the day, guys, if we're not doing what we're called to do, that's to build generational wealth and leave an inheritance for our children's children, then what are we doing? And another thing, guys, as to why we don't save checklists is we have no physical space for your money oftentimes. Yeah, you have a bank account, but are you using that bank account expeditiously or in the right way, right? Judiciously. Are we using it in the right way? And finally, guys, you just don't understand and value money if you don't save, if you don't recognize the importance of doing that. So going through that checklist, identify if any of those are barriers for you, or any of those roadblocks for you, because those are barriers or roadblocks that can be overcome if you have the mindset to do it. I also want to share another great resource, guys, not to toot my own horn, but toot, right? Financial Confidence Podcast on WYTV7. If you can text to 312-487-3550, the keyword podcast FC will allow you to subscribe. You can receive announcements when there are new shows that are coming out. We cover all topics on financial literacy, business, entrepreneurship, teaching your kids about money, the entire gambit, because financial illiteracy is a real problem in America and beyond. So figuring out what are those next steps you can do, check out some of our resources. We also have a financial confidence toolkit. You can go to bit.ly FC toolkit, that is free. We also offer a 7-day prep course to investing. The 7-day prep investing, that's bit.ly, 7-day prep investing. That's a free course delivered to your email inbox. And then the investing blueprint bundle, because it is really important, guys, that we now, once we do start saving, once we do get our budget on track, once we have those things in place, we need to figure out what to do with our money. Because putting in the bank, guess what? They figured out what to do with our money. You put your money in the bank, what do they do with it? They pay you less than 1% interest, but then they loan your money out to other people and charge them mega interest, and they make money off of your money. See, we have to figure out what are some things that we can now do to make, keep, and grow our money so we can do the things that we are called to do. So in order to be able to do that, guys, you need a YIG, a MIG, a WIG, and a DIG. And you may say, Lynn, now what is that? That is a yearly investing goal, a monthly investing goal, a weekly investing goal, and a daily investing goal. We all know what gets checked gets done. So once you put that goal into place and you set the steps so that you can actually access it, set a schedule, take action, educate yourself, and move. Take the next step. Analyze your level of risk and continue to invest to improve the financial future for you and your family. And as it was shared at the beginning, I do help individuals through this process. Just wanted to quickly share what I do is, first thing we do is we meet, we talk, we learn your needs and your financial goals. And number two, we understand your situation. Now, you don't have to do this with me. There are some things you can do on your own as you go through this process. It's laid out right here. Understand your situation. Third, you have we give a value of a professional analysis. What do we see in your finances? Because sometimes you're too close to a situation to see it, right? Have you ever remember being in that situation, right? You've been writing something for so long and you've read it so much and you can't even see your own mistakes in that. And oftentimes that's the same situation for our finances. We've been in it, we've done it the same way for so long that we can't even see our own mistakes. So having someone else to do an analysis to actually look at it will be able to pull out those things that are more than likely in our own plain sight. Next, we explain and offer recommendations to you. What are some of those things that you should or you could do? And then help you to implement those recommendations in step 5. And then help you to stay on track, just following up with conversations, other courses and things of that nature as you move forward and you continue to progress and grow to make, keep, and grow your money so you can do the things that you are called to do. So guys, I just wanted to offer also the investing blueprint. How do you get started? Like I said, there are things that you can do on your own. And you never, ever, ever invest in things you have no idea about. Because here, back last year, everybody jumped on the cryptocurrency bandwagon. They jumped on the Dogecoin. They jumped on AMC. There were different conversations that were happening in forums online like Reddit. And people were jumping in, and they were having FOMO, right? It was the fear of missing out. They saw all the other people talking about all of this quick money that was coming in. But dare I say, guys, make sure if you don't understand it, do not put your money in it. You need to know it, like it, and love it before you even consider investing in it. And what I say about that, if you want to get started, first, look around your home. There are certain things that you have already bought into. Look at what you're wearing. Chances are, maybe for the men, you might have on a pair of Nikes right now. So you understand, you love Nike, right? You have those on. You understand that company. You know something about them. That is a better investing opportunity for you than, hey, trying to go out here and invest in Ethereum, something that you have not yet learned about. See, when you invest in yourself and you take the time to now learn, then the investing becomes a different and more enjoyable opportunity for you. Make informed decisions as you move forward. So there are 4 basic steps to successful investing decision. And of course, it is all related to know, liking, and loving, understanding that. Understanding the organization, the company, the stock, the real estate deal, whatever it may be, understanding what it is that you're investing in. So what we do is we take you through the process. How do you identify wonderful business stocks? Did you know there is a such thing as a 10 10K report that is released by every organization that is on the New York Stock Exchange. And in that 10K report, the board, the CEO has to provide information on that organization. They have to tell you, what do they see that's working? What are their projections for the next 5 to 10 years? What are the problems that organization is experiencing, and how do they plan to attack it? And understanding those 10K reports will help you to make better informed decisions when you're looking into those opportunities. How do you determine money-making potential of the business stock? It's in the 10K report. So taking the opportunity to actually, one, know that that exists by in educating yourself, and then two, actually going to that company's website and identifying that information is helpful. Now you can teach your children to do the same thing as they move forward. Turn those skills into profit for you and your family. Absolutely. Plan the work and then work your plan. That's exactly what you need to do as you continue to do those things that you're called to do to build financial literacy. The number one thing, guys, is that time will pass regardless. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to be thoughtful and methodical and go ahead and set your goals that you need to do? And if you have more month than money, are you going to go back and actually set up a budget? Because the majority of people who have more month than money don't even have a budget to even know how much of a problem it really is for them. Are you going to take the next step to implement, to get more knowledge? Go to Uncle Google or YouTube University, right? Figure out those things that you don't know that you can now use to strengthen and build on to your next level. If you will, guys, I thank you so much for listening in and for taking the time out, also for commenting in the chat. If you will, just share with me one thing that you will implement today that's going to help you to make your money, to keep your money, and grow your money so you can do those things that you are called to do. And that's build generational wealth and leave an inheritance for your children's children. All right, guys, thank you so much. As you are typing in the chat, I will be going ahead and asking if there are any questions, but I'll be passing the baton also to my